The great station of the Galactic Council floated in the darkness of space, its silver rings shining against the glow of a red star. Inside the council chamber, hundreds of alien voices whispered, argued, and hissed. It was a meeting unlike any other. A messenger ship had just arrived from the edge of the Orion arm, carrying something strange, something dangerous. The messenger ship was damaged, its hull torn by plasma fire. Its crew had not survived the journey. Only one thing remained, a small data core locked in a black case. When the council's guards placed it on the center table, the whole chamber fell silent. Every species knew this was no ordinary message. The high speaker of the council, an insectoid being with shimmering wings, slowly activated the device. A blue light filled the chamber. A map of a small spiral galaxy appeared in the air, and in the middle of the map, a tiny world shone bright. The name of that world appeared in glowing letters. Earth. For a long moment, no one spoke. It was as if the air itself grew heavy. The high speaker repeated the name, Earth, and the sound of it carried through the vast chamber. Aliens shifted in their seats. Some whispered, some growled in fear. One of the reptilian warlords slammed his tail against the floor, his eyes wide with alarm. "It is not possible," he hissed. "That world should not exist." A tall, crystalline elder spoke next, its voice like breaking glass. The record said the planet was hidden. The name was erased, no one was to speak it again. The council chamber grew louder. Voices rose in anger and panic. Why had this name returned? Why? Now what did it mean? The high speaker raised a claw for silence. His wings trembled as he spoke. "We all know the legends. The name of Earth is not a simple name, it is a warning, it is a curse." The chamber fell silent again. Everyone in that room had heard the old stories. In the distant past, long before, many species had taken to the stars. There had been whispers of a people who learned faster than anyone else, a people who could turn weakness into strength, a people who fought like no other. These people were called human, but the records of those ancient wars were scattered. Most of the galaxy believed humans were a myth. Others said they were destroyed. A few believed their world was buried in secrecy. The truth was lost until now. The name Earth glowed brighter in the hologram, and with it came fragments of history, symbols of weapons, burning fleets, broken worlds. Some council members gasped. Others turned away. The fear in the room grew stronger. One warlord, scarred from many battles, growled loudly. "If humans have returned, then war has returned. We must act before it is too late." But another, a pale amphibian scholar, shook his head. "No, you do not understand. If the humans rise, no number of fleets will stop them. The more we fight them, the stronger they become." The words spread like fire. Fear echoed through every heart. The council members looked at one another. Some imagined human warships rising from the blue planet. Some imagined their empires burning under human tactics. For the first time in centuries, the Great Council felt powerless. Far away, Earth itself remained unaware. Its people were busy with their own lives. They sent music into space, laughter, and wars of their own making. They thought they were alone in the universe, but the galaxy was now watching them, and the galaxy was afraid. Back in the council chamber, the high speaker closed the device. His voice was heavy. "We must decide now. Do we strike before they awaken, or do we hide and pray they never learn the truth of who they are?" The chamber split into chaos. Some demanded war, others demanded silence, but no one could escape the weight of the name. Earth. Above them, the great window of the station showed the endless stars. Somewhere, across those stars, the blue planet turned in. Quiet rotation, its people still dreaming, still unaware of the fear their name carried. And as the meeting ended, the council knew one thing for certain. The moment the galaxy remembered Earth, history itself began to tremble again. The secret had been revealed, and nothing could stop what was coming. The council chamber was still, trembling from the whispers of Earth's name. The echoes of fear had not faded, and yet the leaders of the galaxy gathered once more. This time the chamber was darker, shadows stretching across the walls as though the stars themselves wished to hide. Each delegate carried the weight of memory, though most memories were broken pieces of stories. A reptilian general with scarred scales raised his head and hissed, "You all pretend not to know. But you remember. You remember the giants of war. The humans. They were not conquerors of numbers, they were conquerors of minds." His voice was sharp, carrying over the chamber. Their fleets were small, yet entire empires fell before them. Not because of their strength, but because of their will. The amphibian scholar from the first gathering croaked in reply, "Yes, their will. That is what makes them feared, that is what makes them different. They are not bound by the patterns of other races. They are not locked in tradition. They adapt, they change, they find paths where none exist." The crystalline elder pulsed with light, shaking slowly. Legends speak of human soldiers who studied their enemies in battle. In the middle of fire and blood, they learned faster than any library or archive could teach. By the time a fleet returned for a second strike, humans had already built new weapons, new traps. Their minds bend war itself. Silence followed. Silence that was not peace but dread. The galaxy had forgotten, yet the stories had never died. They had traveled in whispers from generation to generation. A bedtime tale for alien children, a warning to young warriors. Do not fight the ghosts of Earth. The High Speaker of the Council let his wings shimmer weakly as he spoke. If this is true, then fear is not enough. We must prepare, for if humans awaken, no shield will. Be safe, no fleet will be secure. But one younger delegate, a proud avian commander, stood boldly and flared his feathers. Fear has clouded your memory. These are only myths, words twisted across time. Perhaps humans were dangerous once, but if they are hidden, they are weak now. Why should we bow to ghosts? His challenge cut through the chamber, but his arrogance only stirred unease. The reptilian general slammed his tail again, sparks flying across the floor. Fool, do you not see? Weakness to them is only a beginning. They do not remain weak. They grow, always. They hunger for survival, and survival shapes monsters. The amphibian scholar nodded gravely. He speaks truth. History tells us that humans never began a war with strength. They began as prey, cornered and desperate. And in that desperation, they changed. Until prey became predator. That is why we fear them. That is why their name alone is a shadow. The chamber grew restless. Some called for war. Others whispered of hiding the truth. Some even suggested erasing the knowledge again, burying the data core so no one would ever speak of Earth, but deep down they all knew it was too late. Once a secret is revealed, it cannot be hidden again. One of the warlords, his armor decorated with trophies of fallen enemies, leaned forward and spoke, with a growl. Do you not realize the galaxy itself remembers? The stars carry memory. The name of Earth spreads even now, like fire in the dark. The more we speak, the more others will know, and then humans will know too. At the mention of humans discovering the truth, the chamber froze. If humans learned what the Council already feared, if they learned their own forgotten past, what would they become? Would they rise as defenders, or would they rise as destroyers again? The crystalline elder spoke once more, its light flickering weakly. Fear among giants is not fear without reason. We stand as rulers of the galaxy, empires built on power and pride. Yet the thought of one small planet shakes us. That is what humans are. They are not giants by size. They are giants by shadow. A deep unease spread through the chamber. For the first time, the mighty council felt like prey. They remembered, their fleets, their armies, their worlds. But all seemed small before the ghost of Earth's name. Far beyond their station, the blue planet still spun in silence. Its oceans glittered, its cities glowed with light. Its people dreamed, fought, and sang without knowing the weight their name carried across the stars. Earth was still innocent in its ignorance, but the galaxy was already preparing for their return. And so the council, bound by fear and memory, could not agree. Some wanted to strike, some wanted to hide, some wanted to watch. But no matter what path they chose, they knew one truth. The giants they feared had not yet awakened. But when they did, the galaxy would never be the same. The fear among giants was only beginning, and it whispered louder with every breath, with every memory, with every shadow that passed through the endless stars. The blue planet turned quietly under the golden light of its sun. Oceans moved like breathing lungs. Cities sparkled with light, and billions of humans carried on with their ordinary lives. They laughed, they argued, they fought wars among themselves, never knowing that their name had already spread across the galaxy, never knowing that powerful eyes were now watching. Every signal they sent into the dark, high above the Earth, far beyond the orbit of the Moon, a small human research ship drifted near Jupiter. It was not a warship, only a science vessel. Its crew believed their mission was to study radiation, storms, and the frozen moons. But late one night, the ship's scanners caught something strange, a signal not made by nature. Lieutenant Harper stared at the screen, her hands shaking. "Commander, you need to see this," she whispered. The signal pulsed in perfect rhythm, too clean, too sharp. It was artificial, it was alien. The crew gathered, eyes wide. They listened. As the signal repeated itself, it was not a greeting, not music, not a cry for help. It was a scan, a probing sound sweeping across the solar system like invisible light. Something was searching for Earth. Commander Reed gave the order to record everything. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed fear. "This does not leave the ship until—" "We understand it," he said. "We are not alone, we are being watched." But Earth itself remained blind. Politicians argued over borders. Companies built towers that touched the clouds. Soldiers trained for wars they thought were the only wars. All the while, the galaxy studied them from the shadows. On the far side of Saturn, hidden in the rings of ice, a small alien probe adjusted its orbit. Its dark surface reflected nothing. Its shape was unknown to any human design. The probe extended delicate arms, scanning every burst of radio, every flicker of television, every message leaking into the void. The probe recorded Earth's languages, Earth's songs, Earth's anger and laughter. Then it sent its findings into the deep, whispering across light years to its masters. Back in the Galactic Council station, those findings reached the high speaker. The chamber darkened as alien delegates listened to human voices. Songs filled with emotion, speeches filled with defiance, even laughter. It was too much, too raw. The amphibian scholar trembled as he heard a human battle cry echo from the recording. "Do you see?" he said, his throat tightening. "They still carry it, the will, the fire, it lives inside them even though they do not know who they are." The reptilian general hissed. "Then they are already dangerous, even without fleets. Even without knowledge, their voices alone carry war." Fear spread again, but so did fascination. Some council members leaned closer, entranced by human art, by their creativity, by their refusal to be silent. They were unlike any other race. They did not hide their chaos. They celebrated it, and that chaos was power. Back near Jupiter, the research ship sent fragments of its discovery back to Earth in coded channels. Hidden deep inside Earth's Defense Command, secret watchers picked up the report. It was classified. Instantly, only the highest officers allowed to read it. General Marcus Hale sat alone in a gray room, his face pale under the light as he studied the report. The words shook him. Unknown probe detected, possible alien origin, evidence of observation. For years, Earth had whispered of extraterrestrial life, but never proof. Now it was real, and, worse, whoever they were not introducing themselves as friends. They were watching like hunters in the tall grass. General Hale leaned back, whispering to himself, "If they are watching, then they fear us. Or they plan to control us. Either way, we cannot remain blind." Without waiting for permission from the politicians, secret orders were given. Satellites armed, hidden projects activated, eyes turned outward for the first time not to dream, but to prepare. And still, Earth's people lived their lives, unaware that their songs had become warnings, unaware that their laughter echoed like thunder through alien halls, unaware that their ordinary world was already the center of a storm they could not yet see. The galaxy listened to them, feared them, and waited. But Earth was waking, slowly, step by step. The silence of ignorance was ending, and soon, the humans, would begin to understand the truth. And when they did, nothing would remain the same. The night sky above the Pacific Ocean glittered with stars, but hidden among them was something not made by nature. An alien warship, small but armed with deadly precision, slipped into low orbit. Its black hull absorbed light, making it nearly invisible to human eyes. It had come not to greet, not to explore, but to test. The Galactic Council had sent it in silence, hoping to measure Earth's defenses. If humans were still weak, the ship would observe and leave. If they were strong, the ship would provoke them and watch how they fought. To the aliens, this was only a test. To humanity, it would be the beginning on Earth. Radar stations in Alaska and Hawaii lit up with warnings. Something massive was moving across the edge of space at speeds no human aircraft could reach. The data was sent to command centers within minutes. Military eyes widened, alarms sounded, but the official reports would say only one word: unknown. General Marcus Hale stood before a wall of screens deep inside a bunker. His voice was firm. Do not alert the public, track it, contain it, and if it makes a move, we respond. Around him, officers worked with frantic energy. They knew this was no satellite, no experiment. This was something else. Above, the alien ship descended lower. Its sensors studied Earth's oceans. Its scanners mapped the military bases along the coast. The ship's captain, a cold and cautious being with 4 glowing eyes, ordered a test. A single bolt of plasma lanced down into the sea, boiling water for miles. The energy ripple was detected instantly. Earth's defense systems reacted without hesitation. A pair of experimental interceptors launched from a hidden runway. Their pilots had trained for impossible situations, but none expected this. Their screens lit up with a target that should not exist. Command, we have lock. 1. Pilot whispered, sweat dripping down his face. This thing, it's not from here. The alien ship ignored the interceptors at first. It did not see them as threats, but the humans closed in fast, faster than its calculations predicted. With sudden precision, they fired missiles. The alien ship twisted in the air, energy shields flaring. The first missile exploded harmlessly, but the second struck hard, shaking the vessel. Inside the council chambers, far away across the stars, delegates watched the live feed sent back from the warship. They expected human fear, retreat, surrender. Instead, they saw aggression. They saw creativity. The interceptors flew in strange patterns, reckless and unpredictable. One reptilian warlord hissed in disbelief. They do not test carefully. They do not hesitate. They strike like cornered beasts. The amphibian scholar nodded grimly. This is what I warned. They fight as if survival itself is an art, and they are good at it. Above Earth, the battle grew fierce. The alien warship fired beams of white plasma cutting through the night sky. One interceptor was struck, vanishing in fire, but the second pilot did not flee. Instead, he dove straight toward the ship, weaving between beams, launching flares and countermeasures in wild, chaotic patterns. The alien captain struggled to predict the movements. Human flight patterns were not logical, not efficient, but they worked. A final missile slipped through the shield, striking the hull with explosive force. The alien ship spun, smoke and fire trailing as it fell toward the ocean. The Pacific waves rose high as the warship crashed into the water. The explosion shook islands miles away. Shock waves rattled windows on the coast. The wreck sank, leaving behind nothing but rising steam. On Earth, command centers erupted with shouts. Humans had won their first battle in space, even if they did not yet understand who they had fought. The reports were locked away, classified under the highest secrecy. Only a few knew the truth, but rumors began to spread among soldiers and scientists. Whispers of something out there. Whispers of the first war. In the council station, silence filled the chamber as the feed ended. The alien warship was gone, defeated by what the galaxy considered primitives. The high speaker's wings trembled as he spoke. You see, now they are not ready in numbers. They are not ready in fleets, but in spirit they are awake, and spirit alone can move empires. Fear spread again, but this time it was sharper. The galaxy had tested Earth, and Earth had answered with fire, and, far below on the blue planet, Humanity stood at the edge of discovery. Their first clash had ended in victory, but it was only the beginning. Beneath the quiet cities of Earth, far below the streets where people walked unaware, secret doors opened. For decades, hidden projects had been built in silence. Vast underground, hangars stretched like caverns filled with machines that were never meant to see the light of day. Now those machines stirred. General Marcus Hale stood on an iron platform, watching as enormous steel doors rumbled open. Bright white lights revealed shapes that looked like shadows of the future. Warships, black and sharp, their hulls forged from experimental alloys, engines that could burn without air, cannons that had never been tested in open battle. "These were never supposed to exist," whispered one young officer beside him. "They said the funding was only for research." Hale's face was grim. "Research becomes survival when the stars turn hostile," he said. "We don't have the luxury of waiting." The first war had already come to their skies. The wreck of the alien ship still rested at the bottom of the Pacific, guarded and studied in secret. Human engineers worked day and night, pulling fragments of alien metal, studying the strange circuits. Every discovery was fed into the hidden fleet. Every mistake was corrected with speed only desperation could fuel. News of the crash had been buried from the public, but whispers spread. Pilots who had seen the burning light in the sky told their families. Scientists noticed unusual orders. Soldiers noticed bases being fortified. Something was changing. And though the world did not yet know it, Earth was preparing for war. The first of the black warships rose from its hangar, engines glowing like suns trapped in cages. The crew aboard looked out through narrow windows, their faces pale. They had trained for Earth wars, but now they were the first humans to ride machines, meant for battles beyond the atmosphere. Commander Reed, who had once faced the alien signal near Jupiter, stood at the bridge of one ship. His voice carried firm over the crew. "We are not explorers anymore. We are guardians. Our sky is no longer empty. It is a battlefield." Above Earth, satellites turned into eyes and shields. Some were disguised as weather machines, others as communication towers. But hidden inside them were weapons, lasers, interceptors, and sensors powerful enough to read the movements of stars. The Council, watching from afar, received word of these changes. At first they thought humans were only reacting with fear, but then they saw the speed, the determination. The amphibian scholar whispered in horror, "Do you see they are not stumbling? They are not crawling, they are running, and they are running toward war." The reptilian general snarled, his tail striking the floor. "They learned too fast. We destroyed one ship and already they build fleets." Another council member shook in disbelief. "No, you do not understand. They built these before the clash. They built these in secret, as if their instincts already knew this day would come." Back on Earth, engineers worked with burning eyes and tired hands. Scientists pulled designs from imagination and memory. Pilots pushed themselves in training simulators until they collapsed. They were building something the world had never seen before. A defense fleet, born in shadows but destined for the stars. Warships rose one after another, each larger and stronger than the last. Their hulls painted dark to blend with the void. Their weapons silent but waiting. The world above still slept. But deep below, humanity had awakened. General Hale stood before the first completed squadron. His voice echoed through the cavern. "The Council watches us. Though we do not yet know their faces, they test us, but they will not break us. From this moment, Earth does not wait for war to come. We take the sky as our own." The crews saluted, their hearts heavy but burning with pride. They knew they were part of something greater than nations, greater than borders. They were the shield of Earth. And perhaps its sword, the Council's. Spies sent one final report. The humans had fleets now, crude compared to the galaxy's great armadas, but full of something more dangerous, something no alien fleet could copy. Willpower, chaos, and the hunger to fight. Fear spread again through the chamber of the Council. The name of Earth had returned, and with it, their warships had risen, and, in the silent dark between the stars, the galaxy braced itself. For the humans had built their first fleet and they were not looking back. Deep within the archives of forgotten worlds, the truth began to stir. Old data crystals, hidden for millennia, flickered back to life. They were kept in vaults. No one dared to open, guarded by silence and fear. But now the Galactic Council demanded answers. They needed to know why the very name of Earth could send terror through the strongest empires. The crystalline elder descended into the archive halls, its glowing body casting long shadows across walls of ancient script. It reached trembling claws toward a sealed chamber. Inside, dusty records blinked with weak light. They had not been touched since the Great Silence. The elder activated the first crystal, and the chamber filled with images of fire and war. The council gathered to witness. They saw fleets of steel tearing across the void. They saw soldiers with human faces marching. Through smoke, their eyes burned with determination, their weapons crude yet devastating. Human warships, smaller than the massive alien vessels, struck with cunning speed. They laid traps, turned enemies against each other, and when all seemed lost, they adapted. Again, the amphibian scholar's throat croaked as he whispered, "The legends are true. They were there. They fought in the old wars, not as myths, but as destroyers." One recording showed a single human ship surrounded by 5 alien cruisers. Instead of fleeing, the humans dove into the center, sacrificing themselves in a blaze that shattered the entire formation. The reptilian general hissed, "Madness," but his voice carried respect. Only humans would choose death to claim victory. More crystals flickered alive, revealing empires burned, planets scarred. The humans were not conquerors of territory, but conquerors of survival. They fought not for glory, but to endure, and in doing so they became feared by every species that crossed them. The High Speaker's wings shook as he spoke. This is why they were hidden. This is why their name was erased. The galaxy could not bear their return. One council member, a being with skin like molten rock, rumbled with unease. If they were so dangerous, why were they spared? Why was their planet not destroyed? The crystalline elder flickered, revealing one final record. It showed a council of old, different faces but the same chamber. Alien voices declared that humanity had to be sealed away, not exterminated. The reason was simple: fear. They believed if humans were erased, their story would become legend. But if humans survived quietly, they would remain forgotten. Their fire would burn out on its own. But the fire had not burned out. It had slept, waiting in the shadows of Earth. Now the galaxy's decision to hide them had become its greatest mistake. The amphibian scholar spoke again, his voice heavy. "You see now, they are not new. They are old, older than our fear. They were warriors when most of us were still crawling. In the dirt, if they remember what they once were, they will rise higher than we can stop." Back on Earth, fragments of this hidden history began to surface. The wreck of the alien ship carried data, strange records stored in its memory. Human scientists worked day and night, and slowly they uncovered symbols, words, fragments of battles that no one on Earth had ever recorded. Some recognized the human shape in the images standing among alien fire. Commander Reed stared at one fragment in disbelief. "That's us," he whispered. "But this isn't our time. This isn't our history. What have we forgotten?" General Hale studied the images in silence. His heart pounded with a single thought. Humanity had fought before. Humanity had been feared before. Their amnesia was not weakness, it was a cage built for them. The council argued endlessly. Some screamed for an immediate strike. Others begged for silence, but none could escape the weight of the records. Humanity's shadow stretched across history, and now that shadow was returning. The crystalline elder closed the last crystal, its light fading like dying stars. "The shadows of history have awakened," it said, "and with them, Earth will awaken too." In the silence that followed, every member of the council felt the same truth crawl through their veins. The past had returned, and with it, the galaxy's most dangerous enemy was no longer legend and far away. The humans of Earth stood on the edge of memory, their warships rising, their history stirring. Soon they would know who they truly were. Soon the galaxy would learn why Earth's real name was never meant to be spoken. The cold dark around Saturn shimmered with hidden danger. Its rings sparkled with ice and light. But beyond them, shadows gathered. A massive alien fleet had arrived, ships stretching like black knives against the stars. They were not scouts, not messengers, but executioners. The Galactic Council had made its decision. Earth could not be allowed to awaken. From the bridge of the Council's flagship, a reptilian admiral studied the blue planet in the distance. His eyes narrowed. "We strike now," he hissed, "before they remember who they are." Around him, dozens of commanders signaled readiness. Hundreds of warships armed their weapons. Their orders were simple: crush Earth before its rising fleet could grow. But Earth was not sleeping anymore. Deep inside hidden hangars, warships roared to life. Their black hulls rose through storm clouds and into orbit. Engines screamed as they broke through the sky. For the first time in history, humanity was sending fleets into space not for dreams, not for exploration, but for survival. General Marcus Hale stood inside the command bunker, his voice echoing over encrypted channels. "They are here," he said. "The sky is no longer ours alone. We will not wait for them to strike the ground. We meet them in the dark." On board the first human flagship, Commander Reed stood at the bridge. His crew stared wide-eyed at the enemy fleet filling the scanners. 10 human warships against hundreds. The numbers were impossible, but Reed's voice was steady. "They think numbers win wars. They don't know us yet." The alien armada moved in perfect lines, a wall of firepower advancing with machine precision. Human ships broke formation immediately, scattering across space. Their movements looked chaotic, undisciplined. To the aliens, it seemed like fear. But it was not fear. It was instinct. The first clash came near Saturn's rings. Alien cruisers opened fire with beams of white plasma. The void lit up with burning light. A human frigate took a direct hit, exploding into debris. The loss was immediate, but instead of breaking, the other ships dove into the chaos of the rings using ice and rock as cover. "Madness," the reptilian admiral growled, watching the humans scatter. "They throw themselves into danger with no plan." But then the traps began, mines hidden, inside drifting ice, missiles disguised as fragments of rock, decoys that turned empty wreckage into lures. Alien ships followed recklessly, and one by one they fell into ambush. Human warships struck like predators, fast and brutal, and vanished before counterfire could land. The amphibian scholar, watching the battle from the council station, trembled. "Do you see?" he whispered. "They are writing war with chaos. They are unpredictable. That is why they cannot be stopped." The reptilian general slammed his clawed fist. "This is what we feared. Even with so few ships, they turned the battlefield into their weapon." Above Saturn, the fight burned on. A human destroyer sacrificed itself, ramming into a heavy cruiser. The explosion shattered both vessels, and from the flames, smaller human fighters poured through, striking like arrows. They had no fear of death because every death was turned into a weapon. On the human flagship, alarms blared. Reed gripped the command chair. "We cannot win by standing. We win by moving," he said. "Scatter again. Never give them the same fight twice." His crew obeyed, ships splitting in directions. No alien commander could predict. The enemy fleet hesitated, confused by the illogical patterns, and in that hesitation humans struck again. The alien admiral roared in anger, ordering all ships to converge. But the humans had already vanished into the shadows of Saturn's rings. From hiding, they launched another wave of missiles, and when alien shields faltered, they attacked from all sides. For hours, the battle raged. Alien fleets burned brighter. But human will burned longer. Each strike carried not just fire, but fury. Not just numbers, but defiance. When dawn rose over Earth, word spread in silence across the secret command centers. Humanity had survived the greatest fleet the galaxy had sent against them. They had lost ships. They had lost lives, but they had not lost. And in survival, they had sent a message louder than any words. In the council chambers, the high speaker lowered his wings, his voice heavy. They were supposed to be broken, but instead they rise. Fear rippled through the chamber, louder than any debate. The great confrontation had begun, and the galaxy realized a truth it had tried to forget. Humans did not need victory to win. They only needed survival, and survival was their greatest weapon. The smoke of battle still drifted across Saturn's rings. Shattered ships floated like broken bones, fire trails glowing against the black sea of stars. The alien fleet, mighty and countless, had withdrawn. Their precision had failed, their order had collapsed under chaos, and through the silence that followed, one truth spread across the galaxy. Earth had survived. On board the human flagship, Commander Reed stood among the wounded crew. His uniform was torn, blood streaked across his cheek, but his eyes burned with something greater than pain. "We are still here," he whispered. His voice was carried over the comms to every surviving ship. "They came with numbers, but we came with fire, and fire is enough." Across the oceans and cities of Earth, hidden command centers received the report. General Marcus Hale read the words with a steady hand. His heart was heavy with the names of the fallen, but stronger still with the weight of victory. For the first time, Earth had looked into the eyes of the galaxy's strongest, and Earth had not bowed. The council chamber was drowned in silence. Delegates who had once mocked the humans now trembled in disbelief. The reptilian general slammed his tail against the floor. "It is only the beginning," he hissed. "We failed to crush them, and now every race will hear of their defiance." The amphibian scholar spoke with sorrow. "The echo has begun. You cannot silence it now. The more you strike them, the louder they become." The crystalline elder's body flickered with fading light. "We buried their name once, we erased their past, and still they return. This time we cannot stop it." And indeed, the echo of Earth's defiance spread through the stars. Traitors whispered it at distant ports. Soldiers spoke it in hushed tones. Even rulers in far-off empires felt it crawl into their thrones. The story was simple. A forgotten world had faced the Council's wrath and lived. That alone was enough to shift the balance of fear. Back on Earth, the warships returned from the void. Some limped, scarred, and broken. Others carried the silence of those who would never return. But all of them carried pride. The crews stepped down onto the steel of their hangars, cheered not by crowds, but by the quiet knowledge that they had done the impossible. In secret laboratories, engineers worked feverishly. Every fragment of alien wreckage pulled from the Pacific, every shattered piece of cruiser retrieved from Saturn's rings was studied. Humanity had not only survived, they were learning. Their ships grew stronger with every battle, their weapons sharper, their tactics more dangerous. The more they fought, the more they became. Commander Reed stood before his crew once more, his voice echoing in the cavernous hangar. "We are not the prey they hoped we would be. We are not the ghosts they thought were gone. We are the echo of what they feared, and we will remind them again and again." His words struck fire into the hearts of the survivors in the council chamber. Arguments raged. Some demanded another fleet, larger and more ruthless. Others demanded silence, hoping to hide from humanity's rising shadow. But no matter the debate, one truth drowned them all. Humans were awake now, and they were not going back to sleep. The high speaker raised his trembling wings, his voice barely more than a whisper. The galaxy forgot Earth's name, but Earth never forgot how to fight. That way. Words carried beyond the chamber, carried into whispers across stars, into the fear of rulers and the courage of rebels. Humanity had become more than a threat. They had become a symbol, a reminder that survival is stronger than power, and defiance louder than fear. And so in the silence of space, with warships rising from their hidden hangars and new fleets being born in secret, the echo of power spread. It spread through stars, through worlds, through every heart that had ever known what it meant to fight against the impossible. The galaxy had tried to bury Earth, but Earth had risen. And with every passing day, the echo grew louder, until one day soon, it would shake the universe itself.